Oh yes! If there's one franchise that I've loved so much since childhood, and that love hasn't changed a bit to this day, it's definitely Pokemon. There really isn't much to talk about that hasn't already been talked about when it comes to Pokemon, so let's just get straight to the point, shall we? Types. Each Pokemon has either one or two of them, which helps to define each Pokemon and give them their own identity, characteristics, and attributes. As of Generation 6, there are now 18 different types of Pokemon, and we have a list here to rank the 10 best of them, and this list was requested by the YouTube user Supersonic Lucario 1. Naturally, each type has their strengths and weaknesses, and this list is going to follow a similar format to how my top 10 Fire Emblem classes video was structured, in which I will be looking at how each type is used competitively, as well as the Pokemon that particular type features, and my own personal input to go alongside it, as well as mentioning which Pokemon is my favourite from each type. Please take note that when I choose a Pokemon that has more than one typing, I'll only be taking that type that I'm discussing at the particular time into account, and I cannot use that Pokemon twice for a favourite. For example, I could say that Butterfree is my favourite bug type, but I can't say that it is my favourite flying type and vice versa. Also, no legendary Pokemon, since they already get enough praise and attention as it is. Of course, this is just my own personal opinion, and since subject matter like this is open to a lot of debate and different viewpoints, I guarantee that no two people will rank these types identically. I want to go out on a limb here and point out that no types in Pokemon are bad. I just feel that some are better than others, and these 10 are the ones I think outshine the other 8. And with that cleared up, get ready to hold on to your Pokeballs, people, because it's time to catch 'em all! There comes a time in a person's life where they must make a life-changing choice. Fire, water, or grass. And no matter what generation of game, this choice will loom over players both young and old. And in pretty much every case, I never choose grass. No, don't worry. I don't hate the grass type. I just find the other two types to be much better. Now, grass is a type that varies depending on the trainer. And by that I mean, if you don't know how to use grass types effectively, they're pretty much useless, since they have horrible battle properties and aren't exactly specialized in any particular stats. If you do know how to use grass type Pokemon, however, they can easily be your best asset in any battle and will cause your opponents to have a heart attack. Grass type Pokemon are best used for dealing status moves and draining your opponent's HP, since they have moves like Leech Seed and Horn Leech, as well as having access to a variety of different spore attacks. They're also not bad in terms of dealing damage, as they have a nice variety of physical and special attacks, as well as having a good variety of Pokemon to choose from, such as Victreebel, Meganium, Superior, and the Destroyer of Worlds, Nukta. While I don't love grass types as much as most players, I still really like them, and I can understand their usefulness in battle, and just how much strategy can be applied to a grass type, since they can be great for setting up other Pokemon, as well as focusing on hindering your opponent's Pokemon rather than outright killing them. When it comes to my favourite grass type, originally I was going to put Go-Go as my favourite grass type, since I absolutely love his design, and it's one of the best Pokemon for draining your opponent's HP. Go-Go's HP stat is through the roof, and it can learn a nice variety of different attacks to deal some major damage like Horn Leech, Earthquake, Wild Charge, and Leaf Blade. Plus you can ride it! Instant win! But then I thought back to my comment about never choosing the grass type when I start my Pokemon journey, and that wasn't exactly true, since I did choose a grass starter in the 3rd generation. Oh yeah! While I do love Go-Go, I just couldn't say no to Sceptile. Sorry there, buddy. Currently, Sceptile is the only grass starter I've stuck with for the entire game, and for a damn good reason. Now, most grass types tend to be well balanced and focused on wearing your opponent down and draining them slowly. Sceptile says, fuck that shit, as Sceptile is the fastest grass type Pokemon and has huge special attack stat, making him one of the best grass type sweepers. Not to mention his design is unbelievably cool. Having a lizard-like body and leaf blade arms that extend out like swords, I mean holy crap! Speaking of Leaf Blade, that's another reason I love Sceptile so much, because he was the Pokemon that introduced my favourite grass-type move, Leaf Blade, which of course I taught to my Go-Go and Superior. The only thing that hurts Sceptile is that he's been getting steadily worse after the 3rd generation, because back in Generation 3, the physical special split hadn't taken effect yet, and it could learn Leaf Blade, Thunder Punch, Dragon Claw, and Crunch, all of which were special type moves, making Sceptile one of the best sweepers, period. Sadly, those moves all became physical since Generation 4, and while Sceptile's physical stats are decent, its special stats are just so much better, and yet it can barely learn any good special type attacks. Granted, its Mega Evolution does improve its attack stat, and Sceptile can learn a huge variety of great physical attacks, so that definitely helps, but I just hope that it can learn better special type moves in the next generation, so it can reclaim its crown as the best sweeper ever. You know the phrase, things get better with age? That statement certainly holds true when it comes to this particular type, since I feel that with every generation, this type just keeps getting better and better. That type in particular is the Bug type. Now I know at first glance, Bug seems like one of the types that shouldn't even be on this list, since statistically, they're the weakest type in Pokemon. Also, their battle properties aren't exactly the stuff of legend, which often leads them to not lasting long in battle. But when it comes to Pokemon, stats and battle properties aren't exactly everything, unless you play competitively. While yes, Bug types are rather weak, their move pool is rather solid, and has improved a lot since the first generation. Moves like Silver Wind, Bug Buzz, Exeggutor, and Mega Horn can be very useful in battle, and often people don't suspect Bug type moves to deal much damage, which means that they can be very useful against unsuspecting Psychic and Dark types. Another great thing about Bug types is the number of them and the type of Pokemon that Bug has to offer. Bug is the 6th most common type in all of Pokemon, making them very easy to catch and add to your team. Also, a lot of Bug types tend to evolve at very early levels, which makes them essential when you're just starting out in any Pokemon adventure. Bug type Pokemon also have a lot of varied and interesting looking designs, ranging from cute Pokemon like Butterfree and Joltik to badass Pokemon like Pinsir and Heracross. Like I mentioned in the beginning, Bug type Pokemon have become significantly better with each generation, especially during Generation 5, which added loads of awesome Bug Pokemon like Excavalier, Scolipede, Durant, and Volcarona. As for my favourite Bug type, it may be rather cliche, but it has to be Scizor. Yes, like a lot of people, I absolutely love Scizor, both for his design and its use in battle. Scizor is one of the slickest looking Pokemon ever and is even cooler than his awesome pre-evolution, Scyther. He's also just as slick in battle. Scizor has a massive attack stat as well as strong defense. Scizor can learn a wide variety of attacks like Iron Head, Night Slash, Bullet Punch, Exeggutor, and the must-have Swords Dance. Not to mention when Scizor activates his Mega Evolution and gains the ability Technician combined with Bullet Punch, makes him your worst nightmare for just about any Pokemon. Also, his typing Bug Steel makes that he can stand up to almost every type and is only weak to fire. 4 times weak to fire, that is, and that's Scizor's biggest problem. He can't learn any moves to take down fire types. I mean, a simple Ember could be enough to take down Scizor. But even so, it's easy to see why Scizor is a lot of people's favourite Pokemon. Let's just hope that in the future, Scizor can learn moves to help it against its only deadly weakness of fire. Please let it learn Earthquake or Rock Slide! Okay, so the first 2 types on this list I like but never really loved, so to speak. The next 8 types on this list are types I love so much that I always find a place for them on my team depending on what game I'm playing. With that said, let's start with the newest type introduced into Pokemon. Oh baby, it's the goddamn Fairy type. Ever since Sylveon was shown off to the public, people were speculating on what this new evolution would be in the 6th generation of Pokemon. Though a lot of people thought it was either a flying or a fighting type Pokemon, there were some who thought it would be some new type of magical or fairy-like Pokemon. And they were right! Fairy type was one of the biggest game changers in all of Pokemon. They helped to give both poison and steel types more relevance in battle, and they helped to balance out the rather overpowered dragon types, as well as make many dark and fighting type Pokemon sweat. That's the best thing about fairy types I find, their battle properties. Fairy types are great for taking down a lot of offensive heavy Pokemon, like dark and fighting types, and they completely dominate dragon types, since they're completely immune to them. Suck on that, bloody outraging Garchomps! Also, their only weaknesses are poison and steel, and most people don't use these types for offense, or even their moves, most of the time meaning that fairy types can work as both offensive and defensive Pokemon, and that they can completely turn the tide of battle and outflank your opponent. Fairy type also has a pretty decent move pool, as well as decent stats to boot. The only thing that bugs me about fairy type Pokemon are the Pokemon themselves. Most of the Pokemon are just converted normal types, and while there are quite a few cool fairy Pokemon like Flogras or Klefki, there are also a lot of fairy type Pokemon I don't like Jigglypuff, Swirlix, and this unholy abomination. Blech. As for my favourite fairy type, this Pokemon used to be my favourite psychic type, but like I said, only one type per Pokemon, and in this case, my favourite fairy type is Gardevoir. Yeah, big shock, I like Gardevoir. Unlike the majority of people, Gardevoir is one of my favourite Pokemon for different reasons than the typical norm. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just search for Gardevoir on Google Images and you know exactly what I mean. The first thing I like about Gardevoir is its design. Gardevoir is a very graceful and elegant Pokemon, with a very smooth and delicate look to it, almost to the point of it looking beautiful, resembling that of a fairy or an angel. Not that kind of beautiful! Ugh. But looks aren't everything, since Gardevoir has incredibly good stats, particularly its special stats, and it has a very impressive move pool, being able to learn a huge variety of attacks like Thunderbolt, Energy Ball, Moonblast, Calm Mind, Hyper Voice, Psychic, and Focus Blast. Let's not forget about Gardevoir's Mega Evolution, where it gains the ability Pixelate, and suddenly moves like Hyper Beam and Hyper Voice are now fairy type moves. Combine that with Gardevoir's special attack stat and the stat bonuses you get, and your opponent will be praying to Arceus never to face Gardevoir again. Also, its additional fairy typing helps to make up for its flaws as a psychic type, since now it can go up against both bug and dark types, and Gardevoir completely shits on fighting types. While Gardevoir may be the most sexualized Pokemon ever, I always look past the Google Images, and what I see is the best fairy type Pokemon ever, being potent, powerful, elegant, and all around awesome, to the point in which Gardevoir is one of my favorite Pokemon, period. The next type on this list is a type that I used to hate when I first started playing Pokemon. I never used to use this type and I hated everything about it. But as time went on and I became more strategic and competitive minded, it grew on me and I started to understand just how useful and all around awesome this type was. That type in particular is none other than Poison. Now things are getting serious. Poison is a type that is best used for a more strategic type of playstyle, as they excel at wearing down your opponent's Pokemon, slowly draining them of their life and power. This is achieved through their battle properties and move pools, as well as their stats. Poison is possibly the most balanced type in all of Pokemon, meaning that they don't lack in any particular areas aside from maybe offense, and their battle properties make them one of the best types of defensive Pokemon. Not to mention, a lot of dual Poison types are resistant to a lot of different types, and as such, they make for great tanks and surprise attackers, in particular, Pokemon like Drapion and Tentacruel. Their move pool is also very impressive, since they have a good number of strong attacks, both physical and special, but their best aspect is the amount of status moves they can learn, since they have access to all forms of status ailments, and Poison is one of the best status conditions to weaken your opponent's Pokemon. A lot of Poison Pokemon are also very cool looking and diverse, like Crobat, Toxicroak, Scolipede, Swailot, and Gengar, meaning no matter what your preference is, there's a Poison type just for you. And as for the Poison type that's just for me, well, this Pokemon is the king of all Poison types, Nidoking. Okay, on a technical level, Nidoking isn't that great of a Poison type, since its dual typing opens it up to a lot of weaknesses like Water, Ice, and Psychic, and that there are other Poison types with overall better stats. But that's not why I love Nidoking. I love Nidoking for its design and move pool. My god, is Nidoking one of the best designed Pokemon ever. It's kind of like a poisonous dinosaur-like Pokemon, or some sort of really vicious poisonous rabbit. Bottom line is that it looks damn cool, and you can get one as easy as level 16, making it an essential asset to any Poison type team. But the best thing about Nidoking is its move pool. I mean, holy crap. Nidoking can learn such a diverse amount of moves that it can cover just about any situation or Pokemon it's put up against, Moves like Mega Horn, Earthquake, Shadow Ball, Ice Beam, Poison Jab, Hone Claws, Dragon Claw, Stone Edge, Sludge Bomb, Earth Power, Thunderbolt, Outrage, just to name a few. This means that Nidoking can be built to take on just about any Pokemon, which is why I love it so much, and why it's my favourite Poison type. Now if the guys at Game Freak will stop dicking around with giving Pikachu different outfits and give Nidoking a Mega Evolution already! For the next type on this list... What was that?
That, my lad, was a dragon.
Well then, things certainly jumped up a notch there. Dragon-type Pokemon are some of the most powerful and dangerous Pokemon around, and for a while they were stupidly overpowered. Until Generation 6 at least. Statistically, Dragon types are the strongest types of all Pokemon, having the highest base stats and huge amounts of both physical and special attack. Not to mention, aside from Fairy and Steel, no types resist Dragon, allowing them to easily sweep entire teams with strong stab type attacks. Dragon-type Pokemon are also incredibly cool looking and downright threatening. They're designed to reflect both majesty and terror, which means that Dragon types should never be taken lightly. Just look at Pokemon like Hydreigon and Haxorus. More often than not, one Dragon type is enough to beat an entire team of Pokemon, which has caused certain Dragon types to become banned competitively. I'm looking at you, Garchomp, you and your bloody Swords Dance, Focus Sash and Outrage combo. Dragon types do have a few issues that keep them from becoming stupidly overpowered. Firstly, Dragon-type Pokemon are really rare and can be a huge hassle to train since they take forever to evolve. I mean, most of them don't reach their final level until around level 50, and hell, Hydreigon doesn't become a Hydreigon until level 64. That's more than half the Pokemon's max level, for fuck's sake. Also, most Dragon types have a dual typing that makes them 4 times weak to Ice type moves, either being Dragon Flying or Dragon Ground. Finally, the Dragon type has a pretty poor move pool, since it's rather small and mostly consists of just physical attacks with some special attacks and only one status move, Dragon Dance, though it is a really good move. Out of all these fearsome beasts, narrowing it down to my favourite isn't easy since I love so many Dragon types and I have trained loads and I love these Pokemon, but the one I love the most is Salamence. This is what Dragonite should have been. Instead of a dopey, cuddly orange dragon, you have a fierce, powerful, life-threatening monster of the skies. Salamence is just incredible. Its design screams, "I'm gonna fuck you up!" I mean, just look at that face and those wings and the fact that it has the ability to intimidate. Salamence also has the moveset to back it up, since Salamance's move pool is very, very good. Aside from learning some of the best Dragon-type moves like Dragon Dance, Dragon Claw and Outrage, it can learn Earthquake, Fire Blast, both Fire and Thunder Fang, Crunch, Zen Headbutt, and even Hydro Pump. Not to mention, Salamence has absolutely brilliant stats, having both really high physical and special attack and speed, making it one of the most viable Pokemon in the field of battle and a devastating part of your team if the pieces are set right. And of course, there's Mega Salamence, which gives it the ability Aerialate, turning all normal type moves into flying type moves and giving them a 30% boost in power. Did someone say Hyper Beam? Salamence also has a lot of sentimental value for me, as Salamence was the first Pokemon I ever EV trained, and oh boy was I glad, since that particular Salamence went on to completely destroy the battle frontier in Pokemon Heart Gold. Thank you, Salamence, you rock. I don't know how to introduce the next type. Misty, help me out on this one, please.
Water Pokemon always have the edge in the water!
Thanks for that, Misty. Yes, water types are an amazing type, and are by far the most reliable and useful of all the types, meaning that no matter what your preference or playstyle, you should always have a water type in your team. There are huge amounts of positives to water types and just a few negatives. Firstly, water is the most common type in all of Pokemon, making them the easiest type to add to your team. Also, because of the amount of water types, they have been paired up with all other Pokemon types except for fire, making them incredibly versatile and unique. Secondly, the water type is probably the most impressive move pool in all of Pokemon. They have a huge amount of water type attacks ranging from small fast attacks like Aqua Jet to massive power busters like Hydro Cannon, and even status moves like Rain Dance and Aqua Ring, as well as being home to 4 different HM moves, those being Surf, Waterfall, Dive, and Whirlpool. Thirdly, water types have very balanced stats except for speed, and their battle properties are also very good, only being resisted by 2 types and also only being weak to 2 types. Finally, there are a lot of cool looking water Pokemon like Blastoise, Meloptic, Vaporeon, and Starmie, and because of their versatility, water is, in my opinion, the best type of Pokemon you can specialize in. It's no wonder Misty loves him so much. As for my favourite water type, I was originally going to go with Greninja, since it's my favourite water starter, has amazing speed and special attack, making it one of the best water sweepers. It's a fucking ninja frog, it has one hell of a good move pool, has one of the best abilities in the game, Protein, and is awesome in the new Smash Bros. Fuck yeah! But as much as I love Greninja, and trust me, I love this Pokemon, I can't say no to my lifelong favourite water type Pokemon, Gyarados. Oh man, was this Pokemon a bitch to get in the early generation. Anyone who's played Pokemon will know the pain and torment of training a Magikarp to level 20, especially in the earlier generations of Pokemon. But oh man, does it ever pay off. While most Pokemon look cute and cuddly, Gyarados looks like it will freaking kill you. This Pokemon is downright terrifying and will strike fear into the hearts of anyone unlucky enough to go up against this monster. Gyarados' fear-inducing presence isn't just skin deep though, as this Pokemon more than delivers on the battlefield, as it has one of the highest attack stats in all of Pokemon, as well as having excellent special defense and a small but devastating move pool. Waterfall, Earthquake, Ice Fang, and Dragon Dance is all you need with Gyarados. Now some would argue that Gyarados is overrated since it's 4 times weak to electric types and should be Water Dragon, and while I do think Water Dragon type is more suited to Gyarados, the whole electric type weakness can easily be worked around. Gyarados' high attack stat pretty means that most electric types will go down within a single attack, and its special defense helps to keep it in there for another round, since most electric types are special defense. Also, using Dragon Dance prior to fighting an electric type can make Gyarados not only faster than them, but insanely powerful too. Still think Gyarados is overrated there, fucko? BAM! I didn't think so. Move over, Superman, because the next type on this list is the true Man of Steel. Now this is one hell of a great type. Steel types are without question the best types defensively. They are resistant to 10 of the 18 types and are immune to poison. Not to mention having kick-ass defense stats and some pretty good attack stats to back out their bulky defense. Steel types are best used as a way of tanking damage while setting up or healing your team during battle, and can be great switches since they resist so many types. Steel types can last for many turns against all sorts of Pokemon and can easily force your opponent to either switch out or come up with a completely different strategy. They also have a pretty nice move pool, with a decent amount of attacks and a few status moves like Autotomize and Iron Defense, as well as some very unique moves like Gyro Ball and King Shield. But by far the best thing about Steel types are their designs. I mean, these are some of the coolest looking Pokemon around. Pokemon like Skarmory, Metagross, Bronzong, Steelix, and Excadrill, just to name a few. And there are hardly any Steel types I don't like. When it comes to the best of the best Steel types, most people would say Angel Sash without thinking twice, and trust me, while it was very tempting to put it as the best Steel type, there is one Pokemon that I prefer, and I can tell that people are gonna call major bullshit, but what the hey, it's Aggron. Oh man, I can imagine the comments now. Oh my god, Aggron is 4 times weak to fighting and ground. Aggron is so slow. Aggron takes forever to evolve. Its Mega Evolution is so broken. And yeah, while they're all relevant points, I just can't help but love this Pokemon. Firstly, its design is incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, before you lies a steel-covered T-Rex Rhino Pokemon. A steel-covered T-Rex Rhino Pokemon. That alone should justify Aggron as my favourite Steel type. But for those still not convinced, let's look at its move pool and stats. In terms of stats, Aggron does have very low special stats and poor speed, which makes up for it by having gargantuan defense and very high attack too, making it one of the bulkiest Pokemon ever. Aggron's move pool is another area where Aggron shines. Aside from having access to loads of great Steel type moves like Iron Head, Iron Defense, and Iron Tail, It can learn Head Smash, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Double Edge, Shadow Punch, Stone Edge, Superpower, and Dragon Rush. Pair that with its ability Rocky Head and a stab boosted Head Smash, and your opponent's Pokemon will start falling like a stack of dominoes. Finally, Aggron's typing, while opening up to being 4 times weak to fighting and ground, it's also 4 times resistant to both normal, bug, and flying types, meaning Aggron can shrug off moves like Self-Destruct and Hyper Beam like they were nothing. Now you know why I love Aggron so much, and why it's my favourite Steel type, and if you're still not convinced, say hello to Mega Aggron. I rest my case. As with most franchises, the first game in the series tends to have a lot of glaring issues that are improved upon in further installments. In the case of Pokemon, there were a lot of problems with Red and Blue, be it the numerous amounts of glitches, the fact that the special stats were a single stat rather than being split up, or that there were no natures or abilities, the amount of moves you could exploit with things like Hyper Beam and Wrap. Honestly, Pokemon Generation 1 is, by today's standards, very broken and archaic, but by far the most broken aspect of the game was one particular type of Pokemon. A type so broken and overpowered that in Generation 2 they created both Dark and Steel types just to combat this type. Oh yes, it's the Psychic type. About favoritism, the Psychic type lands on a lot of people's lists as one of the best, if not the best, types in all of Pokemon, and it's clear to see why. The Psychic type has loads of positive aspects, and their weaknesses have either been dealt with or worked around in the newer generations. I think one of the best aspects of Psychic types are the Pokemon themselves. Psychic type Pokemon are not only very well designed and diverse, but there are also a substantial amount of Psychic Pokemon available, like Metagross, Sigilyph, Slowbro, Gallade, and Alakazam, as well as having the highest amount of legendary Pokemon within that particular type. Yeah, I know I wouldn't bring up legendary Pokemon in this list, but this had to be acknowledged. Psychic type Pokemon are Pokemon that excel in areas of special attack and defense, as well as often having good speed, making them viable and deadly in just about any battle situation. Slow rock and ground types, weak and flimsy poison types, incompetent grass types, and fighting types. Oh god, the poor fighting types! No Pokemon is safe from a Psychic type, unless you're a Dark type. This is also helped by their move pool, which is one of the best move pools in Pokemon history. Most Psychic types can learn great special moves like Psychic, Psybeam and Dream Eater, Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower and Shadow Ball, lots of status moves like Reflect, Light Screen, Miracle Eye and Confuse Ray, and even strong physical attacks like Psycho Cut and Headbutt. The capabilities of a Psychic type are insane, and they can very well spell out victory in bold letters. For all that fearsomeness, however, Psychic types aren't an exception to the low point. First, like I mentioned before, this type was beyond broken in Generation 1, since no type except for itself resisted them, and at the time, their only weakness was Bug, and back then, Bug types sucked. Also, both Special Attack and Special Defense were combined into a single stat, meaning that Psychic types could not only take special hits, but also dish them out tenfold. All you needed was so much as a Kadabra on your team, and you pretty much won the game, not to mention it meant that your friends stood no chance against you in a Link battle or Pokemon Stadium. Secondly, Dark types pretty much act as their kryptonite, since they're immune to Psychic type attacks, plus they generally have high attack stats, which when paired with a Psychic's low physical defense, pretty much means that a good crunch from any Dark type will KO a Psychic type. However, these flaws have been fixed in the newer generation, since Psychic types are no longer broken thanks to the special stat being split up, and also that they can learn a pretty good number of fighting type moves to take down Dark types. As for my favourite Psychic type, well, because of my one Pokemon per type rule, I can't use Gardevoir again, and because I said in the legendaries, I can't use Mewtwo. So with that said, I'm gonna have to go with an evolution. Oh yeah, it's Espeon. Generation 2 really did well with the evolution, giving me both my favourite Dark type and non-legendary Psychic Pokemon. Espeon has been one of the cutest Pokemon ever. I mean, it just screams adorable. The big purple eyes, the red jewel in the centre of its forehead, the noise it makes when it comes out of the Pokeball. Oh, it's so cute! Cuteness aside, Espeon is a force to be reckoned with. Being a Psychic type, it's not too difficult to guess what Espeon excels at. With its great special stats and speed, not to mention its pretty decent move pool, Espeon is one tough stick to pop. During Generation 2, and especially during Pokemon Colosseum, Espeon was that one Pokemon I could always rely on, no matter what the situation, being able to learn Psychic, Signal Beam, Shadow Ball, and Grass Knot, as well as having one of the best abilities in the game, Magic Bounce. I love you, Espeon. Brace yourselves, people, because the next type in this list will be rather shocking. Man, I really need to lay off the bad puns. Yes, coming in at number 2 is the Electric type. Out of all the types on this list, I feel that Electric is the most underrated. While I know a lot of people don't hate the Electric type, at the same time they don't particularly like them either, for reasons I can't seem to understand, but I'll go over those later. Electric to me is ultimate sweeper class. I bet it comes as no surprise that Electric is the fastest type in all of Pokemon. Not to mention, on average, they have pretty good special stats and not too shabby physical stats. They also have a pretty good move pool, and most Electric types have really good abilities that can be very useful in battle, such as Volt Absorb, Motor Drive, and Static. Electric types also have, in my opinion, some of the best battle properties in all of Pokemon, since while they're only super effective against 2 types, resisted by 3 and have no effect on 1 type, both Flying and Water types are very common types as both singular and dual types, which means that Electric types have advantage over a lot of Pokemon. Grass types can easily be taken down with a wide variety of different attacks, and Dragon types are often paired with Flying, taking away their resistance to Electric, and Ground types can easily be dealt with moves like Grass Knot and Magnet Rise. I also love the design of most Electric type Pokemon. Their designs are really in your face and out there, as well as being very menacing. Pokemon like Electivire, Luxray, Ampharos, Garvantula, Lantern, and Magnezone, just to name a few. Electric to me is a type that I feel people don't dedicate enough time and energy towards in order to get the most out of them. And because of this, I see Electric types getting a lot of bad reception from others. They suck against ground types. Bullshit! Pretty much all Electric types can learn Magnet Rise and some sort of Grass, Water, or Ice type move. Their move pool isn't that good. Really? Then explain how Electivire can learn Ice, Thunder, and Fire Punch, Earthquake, Cross Chop, and Psychic. They're so generic and uninspired. Again, this is bullshit, since Electric Pokemon are incredibly varied and unique. Case in point, Garvantula. I rest my case. When it comes to my favorite Electric type, I'm going to do something Ash Ketchum never did. I'm going to take that damn Pikachu and give it a Thunderstone. Good lord, do I love this Pokemon. Raichu is to me the perfect balance between cute and badass. Now when most Pokemon fully evolve, they drop the cute and cuddly persona and become fearsome monsters. Not in Raichu's case, so even from the youngest stage, Raichu starts cute and stays cute. In fact, I say that Raichu is cuter looking than Pikachu, but not Peach though, that thing is just adorable. Now for the other side of the coin. Raichu may look sweet, but this Pokemon will beat your ass down and make you cry. Raichu's greatest strength lies in its speed and choice of attacking style. Raichu has incredibly good speed, and both its physical and special attack stats are just as good as each other, meaning you can have a physical or special sweeping Raichu. If you prefer physical, you can teach Raichu Thunder Punch, Volt Tackle, Brick Break, Iron Tail, Reversal, and Wild Charge. Or if you prefer special, you can teach it Thunder, Thunderbolt, Grass Knot, Nasty Plot, Electro Ball, the works. I just want to make something clear though. I didn't choose Raichu because it's part of the Pikachu line. In fact, I don't even like Pikachu that much. But Raichu is a Pokemon I have loved from day one and still love to this day. Please give it a Mega Evolution, Game Freak! So we've reached the number 1 spot. For my number 1 pick for the best type in Pokemon goes to the supremely powerful, awe-inspiring, amazingly awesome, motherfucking normal type. What? Nah, I'm just kidding. It's the fire type. Yahoo! My god, there are not enough words in the English dictionary that I can use to describe how awesome the fire types are. Fire types encompass everything I praise every other type for, and any, I repeat, any issues you could think of can easily be worked around or just plain false. If there's a single aspect that stands out about Pokemon types, the fire type has it all. They are some of the best designed and varied Pokemon in the entire Pokedex. You've got the cute and cuddly Vulpix, the graceful Pyro, the crazy Darmanitan, the vicious Talonflame, the heroic and bold Arcanine, the majestic Moltres, the ass-kicking Blaziken, the cheeky Chimchar, the terrifying Houndoom, and even the derpy Numel. And considering the fact that they're the 8th most common type in all of Pokemon, there is a Fire type for just about any situational trainer. The Fire types can also be the best Pokemon in battle. They have very good overall stats, and excel particularly in speed and both physical and special attack, making them excellent sweepers. They also have very balanced battle properties, meaning they won't get screwed over last minute, and they're not cheap either. Fire types are also very versatile thanks to their move pool. Let me just state that the Fire type move pool is insane. Aside from having a brilliant mix of physical and special attacks, a strong number of status moves, the amount of moves most Fire types can learn is off the chart. I mean, Ninetales can learn Grudge and Hex, Arcanine can learn Wild Charge, Magmar can learn Psychic, Blaziken can learn Poison Jab, Charizard can learn Outrage, and Houndoom can learn Sludge Bomb. Holy Arceus, that is insane! There is nothing a Fire type cannot do. Not to mention, Fire types can counter their weaknesses so easily that pretty much every Fire type can learn Solar Beam, and when you pair that with Sunny Day, you've got a recipe for destruction. Now it all comes down to this. Which is my favourite Fire type Pokemon? Oh man, I can already feel the tension getting to me, as there are so many Fire types to choose from, and so many of them kick ass in their own way. In fact, Fire type is the only team I've raced with just that type. Oh yeah, they're that good. But like with most people, when it comes to your favourite Pokemon, you're usually going to go with the first Pokemon you got. No, Charmander wasn't my first Pokemon. In fact, I didn't play Generation 1 as my first Pokemon game. That was Generation 2. Yes! A Pokemon that can instantly melt anything it touches when fully enraged. A Pokemon that can create shimmers of intense fire to hide itself. One of the only Fire types to learn Eruption, and the only Fire starter to stay pure fire throughout its entire evolution line. There is only one Typhlosion. By far one of the coolest Pokemon to ever be created. Typhlosion is the magnum opus for all Pokemon and has proven to be the best Pokemon for me for both strategic and sentimental value. First, strategically. Typhlosion has very high special attack and speed, making it a great sweeper, and its attack stat is rather good too. It is one of the only Fire types that can learn Eruption, which deals 150 base damage at full health, and when paired with Sunny Day, nothing will survive Typhlosion's onslaught. But it's not just Fire type moves Typhlosion can learn, since it can learn Thunder Punch, Solar Beam, Shadow Claw, Extra Sensory, Earthquake, Rollout, Double Edge, and Brick Break. That's an awesome move pool! If you manage to set up Sunny Day without taking any damage, you pretty much won the entire battle, no sweat. But Typhlosion wouldn't be my favourite Pokemon if it wasn't for some sentimental value, and this Pokemon is bursting with it. I remember playing through Pokemon Go for the first time, and choosing Cyndaquil as my starter. I thought it looked so adorable, and wanted him to be my partner throughout my journey. As I journeyed through Johto, Cyndaquil was my partner in crime. No matter what challenge I faced, he was winning me battles left, right, and centre. And he was the first Pokemon I ever saw evolve, and I'll never forget the first time he became a Quilava. Quilava looked so cool and was so much more powerful, easily becoming the powerhouse on my team and even taking down Whitney's milk tank. But the moment he reached level 36, I saw my beloved friend show his true form in all its glory, and I was speechless. Seeing Typhlosion for the first time, that massive blaze of fire, those eyes that screamed, "Come at me, bro," that awesome roar. From then on out, Typhlosion went on to win me the Pokemon League and defeat Red at the top of Mount Silver. He was the first Pokemon I trained to level 100, and when I picked up Heart Gold for the DS, I relived all those memories of raising Cyndaquil to a Typhlosion and conquering Johto and Kanto all over again. It was at that moment I realized that Typhlosion was more than just a Pokemon. He was a friend. A friend who I had seen grow from a tiny unassuming creature to a titan of awesome power that was by my side all these years, and for that reason, Typhlosion isn't just my favourite Fire type, but is also my favourite Pokemon of all time. This has been CRASHX500. I wish you guys a great night, take care, and if there's anything to take away from this video, it's that no matter who you are, whether you're young or old, male or female, there will always be a Pokemon just for you. So go out there and find that Pokemon, because remember, you've got to catch 'em all!